What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some new One Piece cards to be talking about. Remember, Starter Deck 10 is coming up very, very quickly. It's going to be out the end of next month. I am still, because it comes out the day I land in Japan, I am still desperately hoping I will be able to find somewhere that I can actually pick it up. And given that I intend to hit 7 different official One Piece stores in the space of a week, I feel pretty confident somewhere's going to have it in stock, and that's going to be lovely. I'm keeping the faith, ladies and gentlemen. I'm keeping the faith. But we've already seen the 3 leaders, your Luffy, your Kid, and your Law. And I've got to the point in the manga now where Law is in, and Law is actually extremely cool. We've met Kid. We've not seen much about Kid. I'm on like 670, but Law's properly in it now, and Law is extremely cool. And I showed you those red cards the other day. The Luffy, the Sanji, and the Jinbei. And the Luffy especially looks really, really cool. Well, now we've got some more cards to talk about, starting with a designated super rare Kid. As a side note, remember the 3 leaders are Luffy, Law, and Kid. And we've seen secret rares from the deck now of Luffy and Kid. I think it's fair to assume there's going to be a super rare Law. Now, there is actually a chance it's revealed before I post this video. So if it is, I'll add it on to the end of the video. If not, I'm sure it'll be along soon. But let's start off with Kid, because this one seems cool. As always, I've done the translations here myself, but I have checked with a lovely Orange Samurai D to make sure I've not done a silly. And what we've got here is 7 cost, 8,000 power, and on play, and when attacking, Don -1, up to one of your leaders gains 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. This is really good. Now, it is an 8 cost, and I do think that's a fair point to make. The fact that it's an 8 cost is a little bit of a pain, alright? I admit that. But it's basically buffing your leader by 1,000 every turn. Like, the turn you play, you're not allowed to attack, but that's fine because it's a play skill. And then every other turn you're attacking, but you got 8,000 power to start with, so you're going to be attacking with this pretty confidently like every turn, and then that's going to boost your leader by 1,000. But, and I need to stress this, it specifically says until the start of your next turn. And that makes a gigantic difference. Because if it was during your turn, it would be great for buffing your leader to attack. That would be awesome. But remember, in order to get a successful attack through, you need to get past your opponent's leader. Well, this makes your leader have an extra 7,000 power, which is clearly redonkulous, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely redonkulous. You know, if you take the Kid leader, then the Kid leader has 5,000 power, although it's 4,000 if you've got 4 or more life. But, you know, get down quickly. And you do, when attacking Don -1, gain 2,000 power, but it's this turn. So you're good at attacking this turn, but then the power wears off, and on your opponent's turn, they can attack you like normal. Here, you are buffing yourself through your opponent's turn, which is redonkulous, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely redonkulous. And I kind of like this with Luffy. I'm not saying you have to play it with Luffy, the leader, but there is a bit of synergy here, because it's a Don -1 skill. But remember that the Luffy leader's got the skill whereby activate main once per turn. If you've got 0 Don or 8 or more Don, you add a Don from your Don deck active. So if you're kind of later in the game and you've got all 10 Don out, use this skill, you lose a Don, you buff yourself up, but even through your opponent's turn, and then use Luffy to put the Don back, but oh yeah, the Don's active, and yeah, this is... I'm not saying you have to play it with Luffy, but I am saying there is a very nice combo between this and Luffy, which shouldn't really surprise anyone here. That's kind of the point. They're giving you these 3 leaders and allowing you to choose between them, and this seems fun, ladies and gentlemen. This seems very, very fun indeed. I love this card. Buffing your leader through your opponent's turn is great, and I know it's unlikely, but if you can get multiple of these out, because they are 7 cost at the end of the day, and you got to draw into them, but if you can get multiple of this dude out, you can be potentially buffing by 2, 3, 4,000 every turn. And that means that you're going to have a really beefy leader with which to attack, which is awesome. And it also means that you are going to have a really beefy leader for your opponent to get through. I like this, ladies and gentlemen. I like it a lot. And then we've got Heat, free cost 4,000 power, counter plus 1,000. And we've got on your turn, once per turn, when a Don is returned to the Don deck from your field, this character gains 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. And once again, it is very specifically until the start of your next turn, which basically means if your opponent wants to try and take this out, because remember you can attack rested characters, they are going to have a bit of a mission to do so. And I like it. And this does actually combo really nicely with the Kid Luffy thing we mentioned earlier. Attack with Kid, buff yourself, you put a Don back into your deck, at which point he activates, because you put a Don back to your deck, you gain 2,000 power, but then you use Luffy to put the Don straight back out again, and all of a sudden, your Kid has buffed your leader by 1,000 until the start of your next turn. This has now buffed itself by 2,000 until the start of your next turn, and you haven't actually lost any Don anyway. We have good cards here, ladies and gentlemen. I like these. And I did tell you we were going to be getting a super rare lore. And I told you I was very confident about that. And it's actually been a few days since I recorded the first couple of cards. I've been waiting for something else to get revealed to make this worth doing a video, have enough cards to really talk about. And oh look, they revealed another card. And it's a super rare Trafalgar lore, exactly as we were expecting. But, you know, this isn't one of these great predictions on my part or anything stupid like that. We got the free leaders of these free characters, and then we got 2 of the free character cards as super rares. It would have just been really weird if we hadn't had the full set of free. Would have been strange. Good news, ladies and gentlemen. We are good. What do we have here? We've got 4 costs, 5,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and we got a blocker. We got a 5,000 power blocker. It's decent. It's not absolutely stunning as a blocker or anything silly like that, but 4 cost, 5,000 power as a blocker, yeah, that sounds alright by me. Of course, not the only time that lore has actually come around as a blocker, and this is starting to get interesting now, because we're getting a lot of cards of some of the characters, and we're starting to see a pattern. The lore from OPO1 was a blocker, the blue lore from the starter deck was a blocker, and sure, there's been some other lore cards that aren't. It's just interesting to me that we're starting to see, 5 sets in now, we're starting to see some characters appear a few times in the card game, and it's nice being able to see a little bit of continuity, a little bit of, oh, hang on a second, we've seen this character do this before. So it's a blocker. Blocker is good. What else do we have here? Should say, did the translations myself, but checked with the lovely Orange Samurai D, who checked with the people on the Discord. And we've got, on play, Don -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, you may trash 2 cards from their hand. Now, the translation of this has been annoying me a little bit, but I'm pretty sure this is how it reads. Essentially, the Don -1 is easy. If your opponent's got 7 or more cards in hand, it's easy. And then it literally says, your opponent's hand, trash 2 cards. Which I'm pretty sure is, you trash 2 cards from their hand, but at random. It does not say look at their hand. And that's really important. If it says trash 2 cards from their hand, and again, I don't know if we've had enough of these cards to have a definitive ruling on this, but generally in card games where it says look at their hand and trash 2, you get to look and choose. Where it just says trash 2, essentially it is at random. Because remember, looking at your opponent's hand is a whole new thing. That is a whole different skill. Being able to look at your opponent's hand and get that knowledge of what they're likely to do in future turns, that's a new, important, exciting thing. I can't imagine that's what it means unless it specifically says, look at your opponent's hand. So yes, to translate, and again, this always needs to be borne in mind, until we have the official English looks at the cards, or an official ruling, we have to just go with our best interpretation here, but it certainly seems to be, yes, you trash 2 cards from the hand, but you are not looking at their hand and trashing, and you've got to bear in mind that that is a very, very different thing. And actually, we do have a precedent for this. We've got the issue from OPO3. I just went and had a look in the official FAQ, and the official issue literally is the same wording here. If your opponent has 6 or more cards in hand rather than 7, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand, which is the way it's written in Japanese here for law. And the official FAQ says, the player who activated this effect chooses 2 cards from their opponent's hand of face down cards. I.e., you do not get to look, which is how this is how it works in like every card game, right? I play a lot of card games, as you may or may not know. Things like this tend to be standard throughout card games, so yeah. The fact that you're discarding them at random is way better than if your opponent got a choice, but a lot worse than if you got a choice. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the new cards, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are about all of these cards. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.